When I got interested in drag racing, I was about 13. A neighbor of mine, he was older than us, he was like 17. So he kept telling me, I'm gonna get a Roadrunner. So every day I was waiting to see if the Roadrunner was coming down the hill. And of course, he lights the tires up and bangs gears and all that kind of crap. And I ran all the way up the street just to see the Roadrunner and rub it on it and touch it. And then I was hooked after that.
Oh man, when I met Ken, and he pulled up an old pickup truck, a 66 step side that we call Green Hornet. I go, this is going to be a car guy. When I'd meet his friends, or I'd meet somebody at a bar like him, I said, oh, I knew that kid when I was in school, and I start talking to him, they go, oh, you're married to Madruga. God, he kicked everybody's ass in high school. Nobody can beat his car. And when we first got together, he'd bought the 64 Dart that he's racing now at the track. And I looked at him like, how are you going to get that thing home?
I always liked the darts. And I like the old ones like that. The pre-67 darts are my favorites. The tail lights are different and it's unique. You don't see them anymore.
I've known Kenn, I guess about 12 years. Right off the bat, my impression of Kenn was that he was, a smart guy, level-headed, just as willing to help anybody. Just all around great guy. He had a lot to offer. He had so much to offer, both in friendship and his knowledge, and he was not afraid to share either one.
He's a man of few words, and he's real low key. But his cars, don't try and race them, or don't look under the hood.
Well, when we were kids, we raced on the street. When you went to high school, everybody had a hot car. It's a big deal to run against somebody else and try to beat somebody else. You're competing, like that, and you could look over sometimes and see each other trying to, win.
I never worried about him really racing because he always would know his car inside and out, everything about it, every quirky thing, what to do. And then he also had his Mopar family, all the guys there that would be the first ones to jump in if anything were to ever happen. So I never did, just because it's just who he is, and a part of his living and breathing and is racing. So I never really worried too much, a little bit, but not too much.
Kenn's the best competitor you could ever have. He's always thinking about something. He's thinking about the next race. He's watching everybody. He doesn't miss it. He doesn't miss a trick. If you have the chance to run against him, you better be on your toes. He's got everything together, every race. Yeah, he's the best competitor a man could ever come up against, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
it's something that gets into you and you can't get rid of it. It's not something that you're almost like born with it.
So his passion's always been the little 9-year-old boy that had his head under his hood, all the way through high school, all the way through college, all the way up until now. So when we first found out when he got MS, one day he woke up and said, "Hey, my legs don't work." I'm like, "What do you mean your legs aren't working?"
I decided not to race my car about 2 years ago. I wouldn't want to hurt anybody else on the track. I wouldn't want to cause an accident due to my limited ability to get to some things in the car. And I didn't feel very comfortable anymore in the car at the speed it runs.
His passion really hasn't changed at all by having MS. And if anything, it's just made him a little more creative in how to get things done, because he's had to adjust, think about, we have everything laid out. But I think when I watch him work, half the time, I don't think he remembers he has it, because he'll be so intent on working on something. Like he'll just drop to his knees or crawl under in these crazy positions, forgetting. He just keeps working, and he just works right through it. It's amazing.
The work on my car is a lot harder now than it used to be. It takes 5 times the time to do what I used to do. So.
Kenn's inability to drive his own car now, he just realized the fact that he's not going to be able to do it. So he talked to Cody, and they got that lined out. It has worked very well for them. They've become great friends, as well as, you could almost say, business partners, because they're working together, and it's paying off at the track for a lot of things, you know, a lot of races for them.
I'm more satisfied actually being the way I am, watching and being the crew chief of the car than driving it, you know. It's just as exciting to do it. It's just a different thing, you know. You're seeing the car leave. You can decide what needs attention and what doesn't need attention, and before you didn't know.
The qualities that I admire about Kenn so much is he doesn't seem to let anything get him down. I mean, whatever, it's just one day at a time, one step at a time. Whether, you know, you're just working on the car, or you're working around the house, or you're at the track, we all have good days, we all have bad days, but it's sort of just, well, it is what it is. You're just doing the very best you can, and you never hear him grumbling about anything. That's great.
The hardest part about being the way I am is you have to get in your mind that it takes that much time, and don't get upset about it. You'll overwhelm yourself and get upset and throw things around. You're going to go do a test and tune, and you're going to run the car and see what numbers it runs, and you're going to see if it's either better or worse than it was before. Whatever changes you make on the car, the test and tune is for that purpose.
It was a long process for him getting everything together, because he does so much research and computing and figuring to get the most bang for the buck. He's put his heart and soul in it, and it's paying off.
You have to have a qualified machinist to do all these machines, because the tolerances that you're going to use are very, very tight. Mark Jones from Jones Racing in Alamogordo, he does all the machining. I've used him on all my builds. He's super qualified. He's been in it forever, working alongside his father that started the company years ago, which was a super stock racer. It's a lost art. There's not too many people doing it anymore. What he's doing is he's pushing the gas down, and he's got his foot on the brake, what we call power braking. And when the light comes down, he has to release his left foot off the brake and hammer the throttle to the ground. He could be a professional racer, easy. He's got the passion, he's good at it. He has the ability to be a really great, and he is really good at what he does.
What are we waiting on?
Junior dragsters.
I think we could pick up another 10th and be 990, 995 car.
It's so competitive, and it's so consistent. It's just a perfect match right there. We do everything to our own cars, and we're both kind of on the low budget end of the deal. A lot of the competitors out there, they buy something bolt on out of the box type deal. And if that works for them, that's fine, you know. We want to do it ourselves.
race days, they nerve-wracking, get everything loaded, get there on time, get the butterflies out of your stomach, that kind of thing, you know. See if your buddies are there. Till the first run, till you make your first run. Bracket racing is a whole different ball game. You have to make your car consistent, meaning that you want to run that number all the time. Once the first run and the car does all the things that it did in test and tune, and the driver feels comfortable and track feels good, then the butterflies start to go away. Well, you're hoping that nothing breaks. There's a lot going on, let's put it that way, a lot going on.
The competitors, to me, are in awe of him. They look at his car, and if they've been following him through the years, they remember that car that used to run in the 13s or whatever, and now it's turning in, we've turned a quarter mile in the low 10s, high 9s, but just to take something that was more or less stock and then turn it into what it is now and be so competitive, so strong of a vehicle, it's just a beast.
He's just so diverse that the guys at the track love having him because he has this knowledge, this humongous mechanic knowledge.
Those guys accepted me the way I was. They never kicked me to the curb. They never said, well, we don't want to go because he's there. All of my racing buddies would give the shirt off their back for anybody. Whatever one needs and the other has, it's yours. The camaraderie of all of us I've never seen that before with any people. It's amazing. I wouldn't really be able to do it all without their help. Me, I'm more old school, where I'm looking at the other cars, I'm watching the weather, I'm watching the wind, the flags, and everybody tries to put the input that they know or they use to help each other out. You're in a group and everybody bangs their head, trying to get there. It's not a thing that you just open up a book and read some technical information and how to build a race car and zoom, you're in the top 5 of your class. I mean, it takes a lot. It's a lot of work.
Well, with the races and all the upgrades he's made in his car and having Cody as a driver, they're a great team. And you keep getting closer and closer, they're going to win.
The man that's having the best day would be the one that's going to win it.
Everybody's there to win, but it's the people that are there, the racers, your friends. And it's a good time for everybody, win, lose, or draw. You're not going to throw your tools down and kick your car because you didn't win. Yeah, to get into the winning circle, especially like this last race when there was 31 cars and we chopped it down, then you get your picture taken up there in front of the tower and they hand you whatever the money is and you get your picture on their website. So it's a big deal. It's a real big deal. It was super exciting, I guess you would say,
Yeah, he's just a total inspiration to anybody that's watched him.
He's just going to do it because he's got such a love for cars. He would probably do it with or without me, but it's nice that I can help him if he needs a hand.
I don't really see myself quitting. What would I do?